government contact my security clearance references? Hi, this is Lindy Kaiser with ClearanceJobs.com. Somebody recently reached out and asked me, hey, I noticed that it asks for email address for references, verifiers on my security clearance application. Will those individuals actually be emailed, or how will the government reach out and contact them? Short answer, the government could use any of the mechanisms you provide to reach out and contact someone. So a background investigator may use snail mail. Letters still do come in the mail sometimes. They may reach out and schedule a phone call. They might physically interview somebody in person, or they might email them. Now, when I saw the email thing, I said, hey, I've been a reference a number of times. Nobody has ever emailed me about it. A friend said, well, that's because you still answer your phone, Lindy. So touche, I guess I actually respond to the phone. You might get emailed. I wondered about the email issue because I have, again, not actually personally been contacted via email in the background investigation process, but that could happen. So just know whatever information you provide, it could be any of those. Can you give those references a heads up as to how they'll be contacted? No. As far as I know, the government is not going to give you a blueprint for how they're reaching out and contacting people. There is some kind of secret sauce still when it comes to the federal investigative standards, how an investigator is reaching out. The main thing is they just want to reach out and verify and contact that person. So they are somewhat, method agnostic when it comes to what allows them to get the information they need. They will use different mechanisms or means to reach people depending on how they're able to do that. So again, it could be phone, it could be email, it could be a physical letter in the mail. It's helpful to give folks a heads up that they might be contacted, but certainly you can't really say exactly how that will happen. But especially if you're concerned that the folks will get a letter from the federal government and go running in the opposite direction, it might be helpful to reach out and say, hey, this is actually legitimate. I am in, the process of a background investigation. Now, have good OPSEC around that, depending on which agency you're applying for, what your job is. You might not want to or be able to do that, in which case you can let, the government do its thing. But I think it certainly can be helpful. When it comes to how you list or what you list, I always say the key thing is you want to make it easy for the background investigator, but they're also not there to judge you. I know, so low self-esteem individuals unite here. I get a lot of anxiety thinking that I have to impress my background investigator, making sure everything is perfect, everything is just so. That's not what it's about. It's about making their job easier so it goes faster, so you get your clearance faster. So if you don't have or don't know a piece of information, you can list that. I find it mind-boggling that I have to list the middle names of my references. I don't know my neighbor's middle name, but it's so they can find that person, because John Smith, there might be a lot of them. John David Smith, probably still a lot of them, maybe easier. I don't know. But if you really don't know, you don't have to list it. You can say you don't know. So just do your best and know it's a no judgment zone. It's actually a heavy judgment zone, but it's not, the background investigator is not judging you on what you provide or don't provide. They just want accurate information so they can do their jobs. So list everything you have: email, mailing address, phone number, and make sure that those numbers are accurate to the extent that they will get the investigator in touch with a person who needs to verify that information if it needs to be personally verified by an individual. Don't sweat the details and nuance on that. Know that they will be contacted in some way if they need to be contacted. If they don't get contacted, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I get that question all the time too. What does it mean if somebody isn't contacted? It means the government was able to verify that a different way. And they didn't need to contact that specific person. They already had the information they needed for your security clearance level and level of access. So for more on how to fill out your security clearance application, what references to provide, and other hot tips, visit us over at ClearanceJobs.com.